do this. Hello, my name is Jody and I am a SAIS Alumni Relations Officer, and I'm here today with Jody Lewinsohn, who started at the DC campus in 1952, and in that time went to Rangoon and received her master's degree from SAIS in 1956. And we are here today just to kind of have a conversation. And the first question I will start with is, I guess, what originally brought you to SAIS?
I graduated from Stanford in the summer of 1952, and I had been working with Claude Buss for several years, got very interested in Asia. He said, I've taught you everything I can. There's an interesting summer program at SAIS. George Kennan is going to be there, and why don't you go? So I did, and it was an interesting program. I mean, Kennan was a big name then, as always. I don't remember a lot about his course. It was very big. A lot of people were drawn, as was I. What I most remember is that he assigned us a number of communist booklets to read, and we couldn't find them in Washington. So I went to New York, and took a while way down on the island to find. In fact, I had to go to a Catholic priest in a church and say, Father, I know you're going to think this is a crazy question to you, but I'm taking a course and I need more things than the Communist Manifesto. And where is that bookstore that you can get this stuff? So he told me, and I went and bought it. And so we had the reading material for the course. And that's how it all started.
That's great. And kind of as a segue, tell us a little bit more while you were a student at SAIS and also both in Washington and at the Rangoon Center. What were your experiences and what are your memories of being there?
Well, we were the Little Red Schoolhouse on Florida Avenue, as you know, and the Army MacArthur hearings were going on. And I remember that a group of us stood in line at Woodward and Lothrop, for the George Washington Day sales to get a TV set for the rec room so that we could watch it. And we did. I mean, we were just glued to that. It was also, of course, while I was at SAIS, the campaign of that year, and I remember we did a lot of Adlai Stevenson stuff that year or the year after. It was a very small, congenial group of students and not a huge faculty. I was interested in Asia, so Paul Myron Anthony Linebarger was very much in the picture, and he was a dingbat, but fun, and I think a really good introduction to Asia. Bill Phillips, economics, super person, and the student body was exceedingly congenial, relaxed. We partied. There was a funny little cafeteria thing. It really wasn't a cafeteria, but a fairly good cook. And I was staying the first year I was at SAIS at a rooming house next door. So I spent a lot of time in the Little Red Schoolhouse. The next year I moved over to Georgetown, about 3 blocks from where I now live, with Kay Shoker. I don't know if you've talked to Kay.
I have, absolutely. Yeah. Not in this project, but I have talked to her. She travels a lot.
She does indeed.
Yes.
She does indeed. And a couple of other people who have remained very close friends who were not in school. And then when Bill Phillips was given the responsibility for the Rangoon Center, I said I wanted to go. And that was my in situ introduction to Asia, which whetted my appetite. And when I came back, and after finally getting my degree, I saw an ad in the newspaper for an embassy job, and I called up and said, is this Southeast Asia, because that's what I'm interested in. She said, oh yes, it is. So I got down there, and it was Pakistan. So I took out a map and said, lady, this is not Southeast Asia. Let me show you where Southeast Asia is. Hey, baby. And by golly, she called back and said, there is a job at the Cambodian embassy, and would you like to go and be interviewed? Which I did. Was hired. And I had applied to USIA, but everything was very slowed down in that Dulles period. And yes, well, I love you too. You're a sweet doggy. That was the year that Prince Sihanouk was invited to the United States by the U.S. government and traveled across the country, and I went with them. Which was a fascinating experience. I was there to translate his speeches from French to English, which I did with difficulty. But anyway, that was about a year. After I left Rangoon, I should have mentioned that when I got home, my father said there are a lot of Fulbrights going for begging in Asia. So I applied, and that's when I went to the University of the Philippines for a year to work with a study center that was supposed to be like what we were doing in Rangoon. But the thing collapsed the day I arrived, so I spent a year in Manila having a great deal of fun. And it was the year Magsaysay was killed in the plane crash. So I, again, thanks to Claude Buss, who often visited the Philippines, he had surrendered Manila to the Japanese. He was on Paul McNutt's staff when the Japanese came in. So he had really close ties in the Philippines, and it was a marvelous introduction to the country for me. So I sort of got involved, not in the campaign, but a candidate who the embassy didn't like because he was allegedly too far left, Claro Recto, was friend of friends, so that was kind of fun. It also meant that when I was getting a security clearance for USIA, there were questions. And again, thank goodness for Claude Buss, because he had been there, knew what had happened, and in addition to that problem, the year that my junior officer class was chosen, we were submitted to psychiatric examinations. As a result, our class was 9 instead of 13. The only reason I passed, I mean, favorable chance is the God of all things, was I had a psychiatrist in Washington who, when I walked in, said, Miss Lewinsohn, how do you like dirt? And I said, well, I don't like dirt any better than anybody else likes dirt. And he said, that was really a stupid question. Can you stop that for a minute? Or not?
No, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. Don't worry about traffic, and don't use too much perfume, please. I am interviewed for Johns Hopkins, so I can't stay on the phone. Do you have any other questions? Do not worry about traffic. We will leave at 11:45. Bye. Anyway, he said that was a stupid question, and we had a lovely conversation, and I passed.
Great.
So anyway, that I served in East Asia a lot. Sweden, South Africa, and ended 33 years, I think, in USIA. Rome was my last overseas post, and then I was the area director for East Asia, going back to the scene of all my crimes.
Excellent. So that, okay, brings us to about 1956 then. Or is this after that?
56, this brings us to 1990.
Oh. So you've now, okay, this is all since SAIS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and tell us more about your career then, since graduating from SAIS.
Well, after the Rangoon and Manila, and doing a stint with the Cambodian embassy.
How long were you in Cambodia?
I was in Cambodia twice.
Okay.
And I was in Cambodia in the first place because when I had been in Manila, I met people at the embassy, and one of the information officers whom I knew said, "You, with your knowledge of Cambodia and having been exposed to the prince, you're going as a junior officer to Phnom Penh." So I started in Phnom Penh. From Phnom Penh to Jakarta, Cambodian language training, back to Cambodia. Sihanouk threw us out because of the bombings along the border in some of the worst days of the Vietnam War. To Manila. And I had a couple of desk jobs in Washington, and went as public affairs officer to Kuala Lumpur. Transferred in the middle of the winter after a couple of years to Stockholm. Interesting place to be because Nixon hated Sweden and the Swedes didn't like us very much, and they had taken a lot of draft dodgers from the war. Anyway, from Sweden, deputy and then area director for Europe for USIA.
Wow,
and,
it's a big job.
And I also was the associate director of the Cultural Bureau along the way. So I've been very, very lucky. I had really good jobs with really good people, and it's a good place to work.
That's terrific. And then when did you leave? What year?
I've been out of government for over 15 years.
And what have you been doing subsequently?
That's a good question. You'd be amazed how fast time flies when you're allegedly having fun. My sister and I did a bit of catering when I first retired. Okay, later. I did a little work with the American Councils of Education, reading the applications of kids for the high school programs. And quite a bit of travel, and picking up on the cultural stuff that I missed for all those years. That's what I was doing when you walked in the door of Washington Performing Arts for next year.
Oh, great. Are you a season ticket holder?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, now, in looking back after your illustrious career and looking at current students at SAIS today, what advice might you have for them?
Well, in all honesty, I have not spent much time at SAIS in the last few years, and so I don't really know much about your student body. But when I retired from USIA and the director at the last staff meeting said, what advice do you have? The only thing I said was be yourself. I'm a bit of an iconoclast, as probably Jean Reese told you. And I think as long as you are true to yourself and what you believe and are honest about things, believe in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like what you're doing, get the hell out and do something else, you know?
Yeah.
But so much of certainly the work in public diplomacy is common sense. It's not as much a serious academic exercise as some of my friends, I think, would like to believe. And I think so many professions are exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest, be yourself, believe in what you're doing, and keep up.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much, and
My
thanks for
pleasure.
all you've done for the world, and thanks for your time today, and we really appreciate it. And I should also just say that today's date is May 4th, 2012.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Well, I don't know if that's helpful at all.